All righty. We set? I'd like to welcome everybody to this regular town council meeting. Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call, please?
You may. Counselor Danforth.
Here.
Counselor Dume.
Here.
Counselor Higgins.
Here.
Counselor Mackin.
Here.
Chair Mador.
Here.
Counselor McGlaughlin. Here. And Counselor Pelletier.
Here. If you would all stand and please remove your hats and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Mr. Manager, any adjustments to the agenda?
Yes, sir. We have a couple. We have order 152, 2024, and an edit to resolve 5, 2024. And an additional warrant. Yes,
That was an update.
an update to the existing warrant.
Update
That-
42.
Perfect.
Thank you. I'm looking for approval of the minutes for the May 21st, 2024 special meeting executive session.
So move. Second.
Motion made by Council Dume, second by Council Higgins. Any council discussion? Down to the public. Back to the council. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you. We'll move right to our special presentations. Excuse me just one second here. Might clear my throat. Counselor Dume, can I please get you to read resolve number 5-2024?
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, since Grayson isn't here, could we wait until?
Oh, I'm sorry,
maybe
she isn't
another
here.
time? I don't see her here. so
Well,
could we-
then let's do this then. Counselor,
Chairman, I will move to table this order till.
till the person arrives. Thank you very much. We'll move to resolve number 6-2024. Counselor Danforth, would you please?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Resolve number 6-2024. A proclamation honoring Kennedy Emerson for her award of the Town of Millinocket Scholarship. Whereas Kennedy Emerson was selected for the Town of Millinocket Scholarship based on her exemplary community service, and whereas Kennedy Emerson has earned over 100 hours of community service in Millinocket, dedicating her time to youth sports programs. Kennedy has gone above and beyond volunteering for little pro basketball and field hockey, running concessions, coaching, refereeing, running the clock, and keeping the books. And whereas Kennedy Emerson dedicated her high school career to being a role model for the youth in Millinocket, now therefore be it resolved that the Millinocket Town Council and council assembled on June 13th, 2024, does hereby recognize, honor, and congratulate Kennedy Emerson for her dedication to the town of Millinocket and scholarship award of $500.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made by Counselor Danforth, second by Counselor McGlaughlin. Council discussion on the proclamation. Well, I'll go first then, as I usually do. I think it's absolutely fantastic. I'm so much more so the 100 hours of community service, more so than anything else jumps out at me. You have done a great deal for the town, for the youth of the town. I know that there's a mother and father who think that you are just it. And I don't disagree with them. You have been a fantastic example for the students of Stearns High School. And I am very proud to call you a native daughter of the town of Millinocket, and congratulations on your scholarship. You're very welcome. Anyone else? Counselor Higgins.
I just want to say, great job being a role model for the kids of this town. They need more of it. I really appreciate everything that you've done, and good luck.
Anyone else? Oh, Counselor Danforth.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I know I've privilege and pleasure of reading the resolve.
You got it.
I had, I'll start from the beginning. I had the privilege and pleasure of reading your resolve. I know you have a smiling grandmother right next to you. So I know there's, a couple different generations of family that I'm just really so proud of you. And I know that volunteering is not a problem. I was very proud of you. And I'm going to be honored to be able to give you your certificate. So, thank you.
Anybody else from the council? Mr. Manager, I see your hand up?
Steve's fixing my mic.
I was actually fixing my beer, but I've had a lot more experience hanging out with Kennedy's grandmother. But I have had plenty of interaction with Kennedy over at the rec complex, and you know, she's great with kids of all ages. I do know that, you know, we'd see her name pop up pretty often, whether sports related or volunteering or otherwise. We couldn't ask for a better young person coming up through our school system and coming out of our town, and be proud of them going out into the world to represent our community moving forward. So not only am I very proud that we were able to reintroduce this scholarship program into the mix last year, but I'm even more excited to be able to see it get so many applicants, because it's grown year over year, and the pool was not easy. I wasn't in on that process myself, but I was certainly very pleased with the outcome. So thank you, Kennedy, and thank you to all of her family who raised a great kid, great young woman. All right.
Anybody else from the council? From the public? I guess, young lady, it's time to come up. Councilor Danforth? Which,
Oh, sorry. You want to vote first?
oh, yes. All right, all those in favor of resolve number 6-2024? It's unanimous. See, it was a technicality. Now, I take it you have a speech prepared.
One, two. She will look at her face. About that one.
Pardon me as I slide out of the shot. I'm gonna say, mom and dad got to get in the shot sometime. And now, in reverse order. Councilor Demay, would you please read resolve number 5-2024?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. Resolve number 5-2024, a proclamation honoring Grayson Sanders for her award of the Town of Millinocket Scholarship. Whereas Grayson Sanders was selected for the Town of Millinocket Scholarship based on her exemplary community service. Whereas Grayson Sanders has earned 185 hours of community service in Millinocket, dedicating her time to student government. Grayson has been a student representative for the school board meetings for 2 years, using her voice to advocate on behalf of her classmates. As vice president of her class for school year 2020 and 2022, then again in 2022 through 2024, Grayson has spent many hours hosting fundraisers and events for Stearns High School. Grayson also dedicated her time to National Honor Society events such as Veterans Day Breakfast, Field Day at Granite Street Elementary, preparing gifts for Teachers Appreciation Week. And whereas Grayson Sanders was the Stearns High School delegate at Durgo State in 2023 and received the Cohen Emerging Leader Award in 2023. And whereas Grayson Sanders dedicated her high school career as a leader and role model within the town of Millinocket, now therefore be it resolved that Millinocket Town Council and council assembled on June 13th, 2024 does hereby recognize, honor, and congratulate Grayson Sanders for her dedication to the town of Millinocket and scholarship award of $500.
Second.
Motion made by Council Demay, second by Council McGowan. Any council discussion on the resolve? Council Demay. Yes. There you go.
So I'd like to congratulate Grayson. Although I don't know you personally, I had your grandfather as a principal. And I know your father. He's a few years older than me, but I do know your father. Believe he was a senior when I was a freshman, and I know him as like a colleague over in Arcaton. So I think this honor and this scholarship represents good family stock. I think that you are a credit to your family. I think you're an asset to your community and to your school. I think that you should be very proud of all your accomplishments. And I know your town is, your school is, and everybody in attendance here today. So once again, I thank you. And that's it.
Thank you, Mr.
Quick, they'd want to get in on this.
I know. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Councillor Dumais had mentioned some things that I wanted to say as well, as far as your family, your heritage. You come naturally to this, but in reading this, you know, you've earned every bit of this, just the work that you've done. And it's not lost on me that we're in the Child Sanders Council chambers. You're sitting right below you, Grampy, right there. It's a proud moment. And so congratulations for your hard work.
Yes, Grayson, I want to say thank you for all the time and effort that you've given to your community, all the way from the children, all the way up to the veterans. Good luck in your endeavors and keep doing what you're doing. It's impressive. Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you, Council Higgins. Mr. Manager.
In addition to all of the great praise that has been shared about Grayson, she's also part of the greatest bakery staff that our town has seen in a very long time. It's always cool to go in there and then see a young person working and doing great. But everybody's right. You know, we all remember Mr. Sanders. We you know, I had your grandmother in school as well. You know, it's a legacy family, and you know, you're without a doubt keeping that name with at a very high level, and I think making your whole family proud and on top of the community at large. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Anyone else? Well, I, for one, your grandfather, Charles Sanders, inspired me to get involved in what I do today with this. I could say it's his fault, but he was the person who came to me and said, I would like to have you get involved, and I did. And I owe him a great deal, and I always have. And it's nice to see that spirit of volunteerism, of community, of leadership perpetuate through you. I think that once again, you are a tremendous representative of the community. I think you're a tremendous representative of the school. And I am very proud and thanks the committee for choosing you as well as Kennedy for these scholarship awards. They are well earned. Congratulations. Anybody else from the council? Down to the public. All those in favor of resolve number 5-2024? It's unanimous. Mason, will you please come up front? Bring Dad along with you if you wish. And I will say to you, as I said to Kennedy, obviously, you had a speech prepared, right? Acceptance speech? All righty.
Right in the middle of the mic.
I'm trying not to be. Notice I'm moving over. They keep moving over. I am trying to get out of the picture. Thank you. We all good? No? Okay, enjoy. All right, then that brings us to our third presentation. Diana, if you would be so kind, this is for the Millinocket Library Quarterly Update. That was good.
Scared me for a second.
The floor is yours whenever you're ready.
All right, let me just pull up my presentation. All right, so yeah, this is my quarterly presentation, just an update to the council and the public about the library's operations and finances, and I'll try to keep it relatively brief because I know we have another presentation after this. But starting off with operations, I'm going to start with the good news. We have decided to experiment with being open later on Tuesdays. So for the summer, June through August, we're going to be open from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. And that's in an effort just to be more accessible to people who work traditional 9-to-5 jobs and other people who might want to use the space during those hours. It's a lot of other libraries of our size around the state have evening hours, something we'd really like to work towards. And this is our chance to kind of experiment with a staggered schedule. So we're going to have less staff for a lot of the day, but all of our staff during the craziest time of day, which tends to be the late afternoon. So we'll see how that goes. We're tracking foot traffic and gathering feedback on those hours and just on our hours in general. So I'm excited to see how that. And because of the staggered schedule, it doesn't increase staffing expenses at all, but we'll have to see how that works. All right, bad news. You might have heard there's been some articles in Bangor Daily News that there has been disruption to the interlibrary loan service, which is managed at the state level. So the library coordinates the actual van delivery of interlibrary loan materials. And because of a very bureaucratic and complicated process that I won't get into with procurement, they do not have a vendor for a period of time this summer. So it's really too bad, but it is out of our hands. And hopefully they'll have the new vendor in place very soon. But that's an inconvenience that we've been dealing with. So if you hear grumblings, I mean, send people to me. I'm happy to explain it, but it is pretty much out of our control. Just stop me at any time if you have questions. So just a couple other operational things. We have been doing volunteer and intern training. So really trying to train that next round of people who want to do all kinds of stuff, whether it's work at our circulation desk or just help out around with building maintenance or with programs. And we have four, among that cohort, we have 4 youth interns this summer, which is always great to see. 2 at the Gear Library and 2 at the library. One is a grad student in library science, which is really cool to get to learn from her. And then 3 are local youth who are seeking this as a first job experience. We also, I just wanted to give Chief Cody a shout out. He has been doing a first aid and CPR training for our staff. We did our first session this Monday. And that's a piece of the ongoing, emergency planning and adjusting our procedures for emergency preparedness that we've been doing this year. It was kind of a clear first step in that process. So he's a great instructor. I'm going to be spreading the word about his skills in that area, but thanks. All right, moving on to programs. I just always like to show you some photos of programs since my last presentation. On the left, you'll see we had a seed starting program back in the spring, which was so great. We had like all ages, truly, from probably 4 to 80 there, learning all about how to start their seeds and prepare the garden early in the spring. We did some programs leading up to the eclipse where people were building their own eclipse viewing boxes, which was really fun and hands-on, and recently had a book sale. And we're actually just going to have an ongoing book sale going on in our downstairs room to, bring in a little revenue and offer people the opportunity to buy a book if they would like. Just a couple more photos. We have some lectures coming up, including another one with Bud Warren on Wano. Who knew? But sounds like a fascinating talk. And some author talks with Monica Wood and some other authors that you may have heard of. So that'll be coming up in the summer. And then I wanted to show a couple of photos from our Teen Space grand opening in May, which was just such a great opportunity to bring young people together and celebrate them and talk about the fact that they deserve space to just be. Maggie in the bottom photo, she actually made a cake that looked just like the program poster, which was just like, I love the creativity, I love the energy. It was a great time. So a couple of photos from that. Coming up, we have our summer reading program, which is launching next week. People can sign up throughout the summer, though. We're not super strict about that. So send your kids, send your grandkids, your neighbors down and get them registered. As a part of the summer reading program, there are a lot of recurring programs, including we just call it like Littles at the Library Playtime. It's just like a designated time for young kids and their parents or caregivers to come and connect socially and play. So it's pretty unstructured, but that's twice a week. We have the Pokemon and Dungeons and Dragons Club, which are, again, teen-led, which is great to see. So they lead that for usually the tweens or, older elementary school kids. We're doing a tween teen art club. I think we're seeing a lot more use of the library from this tween age group, and they need some structure and some activities of their own. Story time and movie afternoons will continue throughout the summer as well. In terms of special programs, there are a couple next week I wanted to draw attention to. If you're a fan of reptiles or other animals, like myself, Drew and his animals too, they are going to be, he's going to be at the library next Thursday. And then we're having a big kickoff event for the summer reading program with Darling's Ice Cream Truck. So if any of you have been to any of those events before, it's pretty cool. The ice cream's free or by donation. And if you give a donation, it goes to support an organization. And in this case, it'll be the library. So come check it out. Should be a lot of fun. And a lot of other more, educational programs coming up this summer with the Science Museum in Bangor, art stuff as well. So yeah, lots of stuff going on, and I hope you can stop by. Lastly, I just wanted to touch on summer lunch. So the library, as usual, is a summer lunch site. And as you may know, this year it is an extended lunch program, which is really great, both in terms of the dates. They've been able to fill this gap. So it's starting next week and pretty much till school starts again. And it's also extended hours. So it essentially could be lunch and dinner. So I think that'll really help a lot of youth in the area. And we're just trying to spread the word about that. Moving on to facilities. I wanted to share that we are moving forward with a regrading project behind our children's room. So for a long time, we've been wanting to update our roof, and that's expensive. I'm writing grants for it right now. I'm really hopeful that we'll be able to do that. But in the meantime, doing some regrading work back there will bring water farther away from the building and will protect any future roof that we get as well. Because right now it's been seeping down the side. So we wanted to regrade, and we figured, well, let's put a patio on top and make it, not only very practical, but also functional and kind of add to the footprint of the building. So we have decided to move forward with that and are going to be working with Tim Glidden for that project. And it may actually be completed within a couple of weeks. So very exciting. There'll be kind of a bench situation back there as well. It's really the first step in making that more of a functional outdoor learning space as well, and that we're calling the Learn and Grow Garden. So yeah, very exciting. And then I just wanted to give you an update on our elevator and ADA improvements. So we were officially approved for FY24 congressionally delegated spending from Senator King's and Collins' office, and they've given us the flexibility to use that funding both for elevator modernization and other ADA improvements. So that's great. It's slowed down the process a little because we've said, well, what else could we do? And what we're really focusing on now is this, in this picture on the bottom, there is a ramp in our basement that is not the correct grade. And so trying to adjust that grade. And I think it's all going to work out, honestly, within that budget. It's just about the right amount to do modernization and make sure that basically that would mean that the entirety of the library is ADA accessible, because this was grandfathered in and it's not ideal. So hopefully that'll happen in winter, spring, but that is why the project has been delayed. Financially, I sent this out to the council last week, but I just wanted to mention again that we want to be really transparent with our financials. Our 990, which is essentially our tax return as a nonprofit, is available on our website, as well as our independent financial compilation. So if people have questions, feel free to send them my way. Take a look at that. Secondly, I wanted to mention that we are going to be doing something a little different in terms of fundraising this year. We usually just do fundraising in November, December, where we send out a letter and we ask for donations. But this year we wanted to experiment with doing a summer campaign, what we call it, I guess, a campaign, because there's a different audience that's around at this time of year. We really are hoping to increase donations from people who might be summer residents or summer visitors, and also just use it as an opportunity to raise awareness. So as much as it's about donations, it's also just like awareness that the library is a nonprofit, that we do need donations, that there's other ways to support our work as well. So a lot of people don't even know that you can go to Millie's and your cans can go support the library, or you can volunteer, you can have a business sponsorship. So it'll just be sort of a multi-week thing of educating people about the library and about all the different ways they can support it if they choose. So you may be seeing that forward. Okay, and I did want to provide an update on our operating budget. I apologize, this is not as of May 31st. I had to have these slides in last week, so they weren't reconciled at that point. So this is as of the end of April, 1/3 of the way through the calendar year, which is also our fiscal year. And overall, we are on track. In terms of income, we've brought in 57% of what we expected for the year, mostly because we received this $100,000 from the Sewell Foundation, as expected in April. And that is the third of the 3 committed years that we have received funding from them. I don't have anything official that I can share about the years going forward, but I'm feeling very hopeful about that. And that's something we'll continue to discuss in the fall. Hopefully I'll have something to share next time. And then on the expenses side of things, I'll go into more detail, but we spent about 42% of our total budget, which is fine. There's a lot of upfront expenses so that's not anything I'm too concerned about. On the income side of things, I did want to point out EV chargers. People don't seem to know about them yet. I've been working with Amber to try to promote that and work on some signage, maybe on the roadways to let people know. But we'll see how that changes over the summer, and as more people over time in the town actually own EV charger or EV vehicles. However, I did want to mention we received $9,000 from the Nature Conservancy towards our EV project. So all in all, the library's investment was about $2,000, which takes a lot of the pressure off of it as a revenue source. I mean, it's great to have, but you know, it was a good, worthwhile investment, and grateful for Nature Conservancy and Efficiency Maine for making that a lesser lift for us. On the expenses side of things, oh, actually, one more thing for income. We had talked about consulting work last time, and we did end up signing a contract with the Katahdin Collaborative to help with meeting facilitation and organizing work groups in areas of livability, which is a broad umbrella for, you know, projects that are going to make this place and this region more livable for all ages. So I didn't want to dive into that too deeply at this point, but we did, it's not reflected in these financials, but we have brought in over $6,000 from that consulting work so far. So that has, you know, that's definitely more than on track for what we expected for this year. Okay, expenses, nothing much to report for collections and community engagement. It's pretty much as expected or a little under budget, as a lot of those expenses are in the summer. For facilities, again, I don't have a lot to report, but just wanted to share that for electricity, we are receiving some savings due to community solar through Ampion. So those have been lower than we thought. Administrative expenses, we talked about asset management fees last time, but this other large expense you'll see is for the preparation of our 990s and compilation. And then we're a little over budget on professional development, but waiting for some reimbursements that will bring that number down. For payroll, we're almost exactly on track for where we would like to be at this point in the year. And the one unusual expense I wanted to point out was the taxes paid, because we are a nonprofit. We don't usually pay taxes besides the payroll ones. But we did receive a $20,000 donation from Katahdin Arts last year, which we are using to balance our budget this year. And it was contingent on paying any remaining liabilities that they had. So they did have some issue with payroll tax, and we had to pay it using that money. But all in all, it still, you know, works out to $17,000 donation in the end. So that is our operating budget versus actuals. Are there any questions on the finances or anything that I shared today?
Thank you, Diana. I appreciate every time that you give us an update. And I learn something new all the time. And so first I'd like to talk about your programs. I remember being a teenager and enjoying a lot of these programs that you've installed into your, I'm interested to hear about the attendance of some of these programs and participation. Because some of these, I mean, I think some of these are great because I think anytime that you can get a computer or a screen out of kids' hands and start using their imagination and playing card games and interactive games with other kids, and I think you supply a great environment for kids not to use drugs and alcohol and smoking and vaping. So I think anytime that you can get them in a controlled environment like this and enjoy, I know I have one teenager that uses the library quite a bit and meets up with his friends there and stuff like that. So yeah, I'd like to hear about participation and attendance in some of those. I was gonna say something about the EV chargers, but I'm not shocked. It's just, I'll leave it there. I'm not shocked that it's not being used that much. But congratulations, I think you're doing a fantastic job. And I like the improvement portions of these programs, and I think you're a great asset as well.
Thank you. Yeah, and I'm happy to share some of those statistics next time after we see,
Sure.
you know, how the summer goes.
Absolutely.
But yes, we try a lot. We throw a lot at the wall and we see where the energy is. And sometimes there is a small attendance, but it could have a deeper impact on those few people who do come. So sometimes it's a little hard to measure, but yeah.
Anyone else? Mr. Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think we all knew going into the EV charger projects that there were not a lot owned by our own community members, and that usage of those resources would peak throughout the summertime when our visitation from those who do own them peaks. You know, for example, ours across the street has been used once on the day of the eclipse when we had had a lot more people around. So, but like the library, you know, ours was also free. So, interesting venture, but also on EV chargers, you mentioned some signs and things. So Amber and I are actually working right now with some additions to the wayfinding system signs throughout town to add some on Central Street pointing, you know, downtown to the location and then to the library as well. So those should be popping up in the pretty near future and should help.
Yeah, Amber's been super helpful. We've been problem solving together.
Yeah, okay, good.
Anyone else? I have a question, and the EV charger seems to be the topic right now. Is there I don't know, is there like a state or whatever place where somebody could go and find out where EV chargers are available for some place they may be looking to go so that they have charger accessibility?
I don't
And-
know about a state database. There may be one, but I know that very often those people who do have an electric vehicle, they have all kinds of apps. It's a very popular one is called PlugShare that they look at
Okay.
and find the different stations along the way. And we've one of the we're developing a bunch of resource lists that are local to this area, and one of them is listing out all the EV chargers and adding to that as they come along, so we can direct people. But
Thank you.
yeah,
Yes, Tammy. Council McGowan. Now they know both your names.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't have a question, but I just wanted to make a comment that I always look forward to your updates. I think that you do an amazing job over there. You're doing a lot of different things. I did attend your grand opening of the teen space and was able to actually get a tour of the library of every space and what the function of it was, which I had not done. And it was an eye opener. I don't think the average citizen of Millinocket really understands what's going on over there at the library. So I would encourage them to check it out. And I thank you for the work that you do.
thank you. And thanks for coming to that. That was a lot of fun.
Anyone else? Council Higgins.
Diana, it's good to see the excitement that you get into that. So it shows that you care. And the things that you're doing for the children of the community, it stands out. I want to say thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? To the public. Back to the council. Thank you, Diana. Once again, a great presentation. And again, I echo that we look forward to you coming, keeping us up to date on the library.
Thank you.
And last but not least in our presentation, Jared Goulet is here with the Maine DOT for the Village Partnership Initiative for the downtown reconstruction. Jared, I will turn it over to you. Yeah, it
Oh,
looks quite big.
All right. It's on. Oh, wow. Oh, you know, Millinocket, I'm gonna say this, you're pretty technologically up on it. I haven't been in such a high-tech facility in a long time. I'll tell you, we ain't got this in Augusta. You should see the cubicle they stick in. Oy. I'll spare you the Rodney Dangerfield routine. Thank you for having me here. My name is Jared Farngolette. I'm the Region 4 and 5 planner with the Department of Transportation. And I'm going to talk today about our community-based initiatives, particularly the Village Partnership Initiative, what that is and what that could be for the municipality of Millinocket. And then really, this is just informational. really no pressure on the municipality to make any decisions at this point. It's something for you to consider. And so this is community-based initiatives, our village centers and downtowns. And this is really an opportunity where we can make investments and produce a transportation infrastructure. I say for the next generation, but that's because I'm a Star Trek fan, but also for the current generation. So, yeah, how does this? Oh, look at that. I'll just go over the outline of it. Oh, come on. There we go. We'll just talk about the general philosophy of the program. We do have quite a few acronyms. DOT speak. I have 150,000 books called Speak DOT. I love giving them away. Let me know if you want any copies. And we're going to talk about the Village Partnership Initiative, specifically our large VPI. That's the transformative one, which is the direction that the municipality is more interested in going. And then we'll just talk about next steps, process, and then some of the timeline. So the philosophy of, why we do this is, contrary to what many may think, the highways in the state of Maine are actually pretty good, especially in New England. And the further north you get, they actually better the highway cyclical pavement preservation efforts, I think, are expended. And so we can get you from A to B pretty efficiently and for the most part safely. It's what do you do when you get to B? We want to give residents, the traveling public, visitors, a reason to stop, get out of their car and drop a buck, as well as improve quality of life for those who have lived in this town or any one of our towns for many generations, and who are going to choose to come live in Maine anew. And so we really aim to revitalize, areas that have deficiencies in ADA compliance, pedestrian facilities, as well as we think of it as a way of creating destinations. How do we place make your municipality to bring back a lot of that look, feel, and character and that quality of life that a lot of our rural communities once had? It's almost like we invest in the transportation infrastructure. In many ways, that Norman Rockwell look, feel, and sort of vibrancy can come back. And the Maine Department of Transportation, almost 3 words into our mission, is economy. We are about advancing and keeping the economy of the state of Maine running. And that's where our vision at the Department of Transportation is, we can't solve all the problems. This is just one of the ways that we help assist with it. I think, municipalities have to be a big part of it. That's why it's a partnership. And this is just our role that we can do. At DOT, we say, stay in your lane, and if we veer out of that lane, it ain't so good for anyone. We stay in our lane, but this is how we can improve, economy based on the lane widths that we have. So we'll talk about the Village Partnership Initiative, and this is a program that we've seen a lot of success with, very popular, and due to, current legislation and seniority within Senate, we've got a unique window of opportunity in rural Maine to actually make these lasting investments. So, like I said, we operate with our own internal language, which is a lot of P's and a lot of I's. We're really just going to talk about the VPI, the Village Partnership Initiative. A win number, you've probably seen our work plan. That's just the unique number that goes along with any particular project. Any village partnership initiative at any stage would have a unique win number. It does go in our work plan. It is an official DOT project. An RPO, that's like a regional planning organization. Piscataquis County currently does not have one. I am working to try and get transportation planning assistance brought to, although we're in Penobscot County, never mind. Sorry, I was just in Dover Foxcroft like 20 minutes ago. So we do, and Jack Posies is on the call. He's with the Bangor Area Comprehensive Transportation System, and they are contracted by Maine DOT to provide technical assistance for transportation planning to your town. There's one of me, about 300 towns that I serve, so I try and have foot soldiers and force extensions to be able to be more readily available for certain questions. Kickoff meeting, that's really like the official start. And LPA, this is an important one. This is the local project administrator. We offer a training about twice a year. And I think, have you done that yet, Pete? We'll get you signed up. We'll get you signed. It's a very good training. I recommend any municipal official consider doing it. It takes you through the federal, state, and financial regulatory requirements for having a large funded, a largely federally funded construction project and or feasibility and planning project. And it just, you get to come hang out with us in Augusta, DOT, there's some free food. So VPI plan phase, this is really, I think, the aim of what the town would be interested in. This is a locally initiated project, similar to the PPI that the town had done previously, the Planning Partnership Initiative. And with this, my role at DOT, we provide technical assistance. In a partnership, we would onboard a third-party consultant, multidisciplinary team, similar to TY Lind, who did the previous work. And it is not really limited to any specific type of study. Honestly, realistically speaking, when we do these studies in feasibility, conceptual designs, it is looking at the transportation infrastructure specifically to your downtown. What are your major generators and destinations? What are the deficiencies? What are the gaps? And then what are the possible future scenarios and funding structures, phasing. It's a very comprehensive and robust product that comes out at the end. And it gives us the ability to then go on to the next stage, which is the preliminary engineering. We cap it at 75,000. That means that's our total match. So the total project budget is 150,000. If you are a, 50-50 match town, realistically, we try not to, go on project budgets too much larger, because then it's well, how big is the scope getting? We want these to be achievable scopes because it is related directly to, it's kind of what it looks like. A bunch of sitting around making maps, coming up with great ideas. Engineers do whatever the engineers do, and the landscape architects make it all look good. Aside from that, it gives us a document and a report. But really, why are we going after these large transformative village partnership initiatives? Because this allows us to go after a federal raise or some type of congressionally designated spending to invest in, to deliver projects of, $5 to $25 million. Like I said, we really focus on your downtown, your historic core, and how can we rehab the transportation system with a focus on revitalization. Now we have a match structure for this, as far as the planning phase. That's based off of your municipal valuation and the cost share. As we go forward to preliminary engineering, which is the next phase, and then as we go to the actual implementation, we say it's 80-20, 80% federal, 20% a combination of state and municipality. See what I'm throwing down there. We don't want to hold any. Basically, we're here to help work with the municipality, and we don't want to, have a financial barrier be an impediment to accomplishing the vision and the goals that you have. Realize that there ain't no such thing as a free lunch. I'm not the Oprah of sidewalks. However, we're here to, work with your town and find a way from A to build. We do require some municipal skin in the game, though. And what this allows us to do is make these transformative, once in a generation investments. And, I get the question a lot: it's the state system, it's state infrastructure. Why don't you just go and do it yourself? You're right. It is our responsibility to do that, and you are not required at all. However, the speed at which DOT works. And honestly speaking, we just can't afford a lot of the financial lift to be able to do this in a time that would be able to, meet the needs of the people of traveling Maine. And so this is an opportunity where we can leverage federal funding to make those investments in rural Maine. And, it's something where it's locally driven. Historically, it was always Maine DOT coming in saying, "Thou shalt have roundabout." Well, no, now it's actually a planning process where we're trying to be more responsive to what the needs of the municipality are, and realize that we still have to be compliant with, federal law and state highway design guidelines. So that's, the large impetus of it. This is what it looks like. Why do we do this? It's a way for us to actually make these types of investments and not have to patchwork quilt the, transportation system, which is kind of how we've had to do it for a very long time. The commissioner talks a lot about how we MacGyver the system. Contrary to popular belief, we're just not rolling in it. And we have a lot of highways and a lot of responsibilities with just maintenance and operation. So, we've done this in Hollowell, we've done this in Gardner, we've done this Gardner wasn't technically a true VPI, but it's a similar process. But Wyndham is now funded. Sanford is another example. Belgrade is an example where this was a successful project. I've just got notice that I'm being asked to go to preliminary engineering with the town that T.Y. Lin actually worked on. And I'm negotiating with another municipality in Aroostook County for advancing to the next phase. So we have a very good track record of delivering these. And the reason why we have a very good success rate in getting the federal funding is we have a very substantive application package. It's not just style, it's substance and style. We go through a very thorough process and we make sure that we've checked boxes and we've got something that is ready for submission to, the United States Department of Transportation and our congressional delegations, because we want to be successful. And our batting averages, trying to think, I'm a lacrosse player and a hockey player, so I don't really know much about baseball. So give me a good batting average. 300?
Yeah.
Okay, we're at a 300 with DOT. That being said, I'm not authorized to make commitments or obligations on behalf of the Department of Transportation for the great state of Maine. But what I would say is it's never been a better opportunity for rural Maine and for our small towns. And we're here to work with municipalities should you be interested and help accomplish whatever vision, so long as you've got a logical nexus to the state system. And really next steps are, just go through and see what the BPI kind of go forward to next things. Contact me and we'll put together a scope of services, and from there, we'll just see if you want to advance to the next step. That's really all I've got. And I'm here to answer any questions, and I don't mind being put in the hot seat.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? Yes, Councilor Danforth.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jared, will you clarify for me, do you have the CDS funds right now? Are you looking to get partners, municipal partners for the next round of CDS applications?
So this is not for that. No, CDS, Millinocket has done a planning partnership initiative. You've got Center Street, which was a great study. This would be building off of that and looking at the historic downtown core here at Center Street, and any other logical nexus around there to make those investments. We will not advance an application, whether it's CDS or a raise grant, until we've gone through the full process, which is the conceptual feasibility and public participation process, and then the preliminary engineering. And after that, we will seek a raise grant. And the reason why we go through such a complex and sort of in-depth process is, we want to make sure that the municipality is as committed as we are. If you partner with us, we're going to deliver as best as we can. And we don't want to just sort of half-cocked go off to the congressional delegation and say, hey, we want to make this application request, up to $10 to $15 million in federal funding, to have a municipality be like, we actually don't got the money. Because that's bad for us, because that can impede our ability to deliver for other municipalities. And I think where we're so successful is that we've never had to, at the very last stage, say no to a federal delegation. The Department of Transportation and our Senate delegates really trust DOT to deliver and to make sure we've gone through a thorough process with our municipalities.
Excuse me, can I follow up? So I'm very aware of the PPI grant because I helped write it and then was part of the work for it to be carried through. And I know that it's complete. So my question more was, I didn't know do you have, as the Maine DOT, already received the CDS funds so that you're looking for municipalities to go to the next stage? Or were you looking for us to sort of make a commitment so that you could put a request in the next round? That's where I was wondering
That's a good question. I think it would be a matter of what is the interest of the municipality. If you'd like to, for the PPI, advance that to the next stage, we would look at doing what's called preliminary engineering. We do have to go through survey, right of way, environmental review. That's basically getting it to PDR 90% designed, and that does have a match structure with it. We can't just advance a federal grant application based off a conceptual study. So if the municipality was interested in, we could go to PE on that specific PPI. However, with the VPI, we could designate, the consultants, take a look at what was already done. This is an additional scope area, package that all together in a, at some point in a larger, more transformative transportation, project, so that you've got, coming down
Central.
Central.
Central Street, and then you've got Main Street, and we could even talk about going out on Katahdin Bates. It's a matter of what is the scope that you want to do? How much do you want to look at improving? I tend to recommend, if you're going to go after one of these large federal transformative grants, go very big, because realistically, this is like for every dollar that the municipality invests, 9 other dollars come from other sources, whether it's a combination of state and federal. And this is why it's been a popular program. They say, you give me $1, I'm going to give you 9 other dollars. And it's not, you wouldn't be the only town who's done a previous study and then built off of that to advance it. And I get it. This is one of the sort of frustrating things. Why does it take so long to get infrastructure built? I wish I could give you that answer, except that we just have to be very geology. That's why.
Mhm.
And then process. This is just the process we have to follow.
You all set?
Can I, in summary, no, I just will say, I do think that we need to go to the VP, go to the next level, and because we just talked about our Main Street, which is, Penobscot Avenue. Thank you.
Council May.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Jared, for coming today. Appreciate it. Historically, you mentioned these are like once in a generation type projects. Does it actually take a generation to get there? So when you were talking about your process from start to finish in general terms, from the kickoff to completion in a community this size and a project relatively this size, what's the scope time frame that it could look like?
That's a great question. And this is actually why we go through this process. Is it's one of the quicker, faster processes that we actually have. So to give you a shooting from the hip estimate, I'd say from kickoff to when the last shovel tamps down, you're looking at 5 to 6 years. We have about 3 years and change left on the bipartisan infrastructure law, which is what this made available through. There's always a 5-letter acronym for major transportation investments. However, right now, the 5-letter acronym that we have allows us to do this type of project. So once we get this in the work plan in the pipes, this means we're committed. Everyone's committed to completing it. That is one a commitment. Once it's in work plan, that's the thing. But we do our best to get this fully delivered from concept to built in 5 to 6 years. So there is actually a light. We're not planning for planning's sake. We're doing this because we want to get this built.
Thank you, and live long and prosper.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Council Higgins.
Yes, thank you for answering that. That was one of my questions on the timeline. So a project like this here, that would not be a spot VPI, that would be a large transformative? That's
Yes.
what we look,
Yep.
that's what we, okay.
A spot VPI is a specific intersection, a specific pedestrian crossing, things that are capped at around $500,000.
And this would be something that the whole community could benefit from.
Correct.
Thank you. Anyone else? I got a question for you. If, do you have to go through the PPI to do the VPI portion? Is it required to have the PPI?
Yes, we do. As far as the PPI, we've got a lot of acronyms. The PPI no longer exists. We now call it the Village Partnership Initiative Plan Phase. we do require the conceptual renderings in the public process. The reason why we have that is before we can even start just going directly to engineering, we need to know if based on state highway design guidelines, manual of uniform traffic control devices, federal regulations, that it's going to even fly at all. And then two, we want to have a public participation process so that we're not just doing something without getting feedback from your community. And through this process, we would have similar to the PPI, public meetings, different engagement opportunities. And it is a requirement really from the feds to make sure that we've gone through that public process. And the other aspect of it too is, you know, what we do in the conceptual and feasibility study largely will get informed into the engineering. I mean, PE, that's really where the nuts and bolts get worked out. That's where the final design is determined. But there isn't that much difference from your final feasibility study to then what we go in and design for preliminary engineering. And the other thing too is we need that for developing our budget. And that budget is what we'll estimate the match structure and the cost for preliminary engineering, and then how much we do ask basically from the feds when we go for that raise grant or a CDS application.
Appreciate that. We had a, if I'm not mistaken, the PPI was, we had we had at least one public meeting at the high school library. Presentation was made at the time. The PPI that dealt amazingly with the Central Street corridor, in my estimation, didn't seem to get a hearty welcome. That's why I ask if the PPI is, you know, definitely the foundation that has to go before the VPI can be done.
For the grant application for leveraging the feds to get that money, we will need to go through a similar process. But the scope for this, I think, would be looking specifically there and wherever else the municipality determines is where you'd like to make your investments. You know, I'm not here to tell you what your village is or where you want to make those investments. I'm just here to facilitate a process. And the process will require public engagement component. Because maybe we'll find out they don't want to do it.
A happy medium, maybe?
Yeah, or a happy medium too.
Anyone else? Mr. Manager?
I just wanted to take a step back and clarify that I believe the stage you were referring to earlier would be the VPIPP.
That's way too many Ps.
It's a lot of Ps, but so the beginning thought of all of this was, you know, when we started talking at the administrative level with Jared, it was after two failed CDS requests to provide reconstruction to our downtown sidewalks and lighting. Jared introduced us to this program, and gave us, you know, the entry level spiel on it. We met, we decided we wanted to go forward with the scope and the council step, you know. So the origin of this is one of the loudest concerns that I, as the town manager, receive from members of our own community and visitors and the state and other government entities, you know, especially, we rent this space to the court system, which is operated by the state. And we have a report that the state had commissioned about ADA barriers within our downtown, the condition of our sidewalks, things that have been neglected for nearly 40 years without repairs. So I can't imagine a world where our community wouldn't support the reconstruction of our downtown
No,
sidewalks
no.
and lights and stuff. But, that's the beginning idea. It can grow from there. It can include some of the bike ped safety stuff that we talked about for the Central Street corridor. It can expand to the pocket parks and different things, but the focal point, the idea behind all of this is to start and reconstruct our downtown sidewalks, the lighting, the road itself. And there's a process to do that. So, we will hopefully go through that. And like he said, spend a dollar or less on every 9. So we use a lot of high level descriptions of things, and I think that it's really important just to kind of step back and break it down a little, to be a little clearer for some folks. So thanks for tolerating that.
Just to be clear, I'm not opposed to working. As a matter of fact, I would encourage a reconstruction of the downtown and to make it much more accessible and to bring it up to a 21st century look, actually, as far as the local community is concerned. My concern was tying it into the Central Street corridor as it was proposed originally as part of the other project. So if that happens, it happens. If the Main Street gets done, that is my major one concern. I would be looking for that to be done, and that to be done as best we possibly can. And certainly with your help, that would be great.
At your
Anyone else from the
service.
council? Councilor Higgins.
Thank you, Mr. Manager, for clarifying that on the Main Street.
Anyone else? Mr. Manager.
Just a question. Is downtown Searsport part of this program?
No, downtown Searsport is not the village partnership process. That was just a highway project and it's not in my region. I cover regions 4 and 5. So I've got Washington, Hancock, Piscataquis, Penobscot, bit of Somerset, Aroostook, pretty much all of the great state of Maine. Minus the
13
fact-
original call.
Yeah, minus Massillon. Well, you heard we were talking about earlier. And so Searsport's not my region, so I actually don't
Okay.
really know what I should, but we talk to each other much in our own departments sometimes.
I was down there recently and I knew that there was a major project
You know,
happening
and that's
in the
where-
downtown for reconstruction.
If anyone ever is in like Lincolnville, a lot of these quaint village look, feel, and character aspects, that's what we're trying to bring back.
Mhm.
But modern construction
Right.
standards and ADA compliance.
Okay. Anyone else from the council? This. Anybody from the public? Yes. Name and addresses. I know I shouldn't have to tell you. And I'm really not.
Jeff Campbell, Airport Manager. These projects sound very much like what I deal with Maine DOT and the FAA all the time. They're very doable as far as getting through the process. It sounds like a lot. There's a lot of alphabet soup. But these processes can be gotten through with the right engineering firm and the right initiative. These projects, it's a really good return on investment. We've invested, you guys and myself, we've invested millions of dollars at the airport on these same types of programs.
Right.
I spend a fair amount of time at DOT and this is the whole new thing for the DOT. It's been very, very nice to deal with them. Their whole mode of operation seems to change here recently after dealing with it for 17 years. But we've been through these processes multiple times with the airport. So I think it's a good deal.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none? Jared, thank you very much for the presentation. Last question. What do you need for us for our next step if we were to move forward?
really next step would be just, it's, have the manager continue DOT process regarding the village partnership. We're working on a scope. We'll have a scope finalized, and I think that's something that, you could just present to the council yourself. And if, you're satisfied with the scope, we'll come up with we would have to go to an executive session for coming up with like a budget estimate. There's a sealed bid. We do it based off of qualifications and the quality of a proposal, not lowest bid. But we put out an RFP, onboard a consultant, and go from there. And you're not committed until, you've signed a DocuSign agreement and the council has agreed that we're all good with that. So right now, no pressure.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you.
Mr. Manager, oh, certainly. Come right up.
We're not adding to your work.
Oh, you gotta push the button, Brian. There you go.
Trying to work director. You have an MPI, like, that's, back off that and try to tie it into this. For dollars on return.
We did talk about that at one point early on.
Good question.
Let me look more at the scope for the MPI, and I don't want to give you a hard and fast answer right now. Realize that the MPIs are focused on a different component. They're really more focused on surface conditions and maintaining the surface preservation of a state aid or state roads that can expedite beyond faster than the work plan management than what we would be able to get to you to support. I don't want to give you a hard and fast answer because I don't want to slow something down that might be expedient to the town's needs right now. Where these are much more of a global holistic look at all modes of transportation. So it might be best just to keep forward with the MPI.
Well, so as soon as I said we had talked about that earlier and sat back, I remembered that I'm fairly sure the reason we decided not to was because of the timeline of all of it, and we would actually end up losing the MPI side of the funding for that Bate Street project before we'd be able to accomplish it as a package deal. So I think that we had determined that it needs to remain two separate projects, just given the timeline of that MPI funding opportunity.
I'd suggest keeping with the MPI so that you can address the need. I mean, the MPI is designed to address really timely needs right here and now because you can't wait for a highway project or cyclical paving to come through and do rehab or even just, I say, spray paint on the blacktop. But and by doing the MPI, you likely might actually be able to reduce some of the project budget on a global DPI by not having a highway component. So in the long run, I think you're probably saving money and saving headaches by just pushing forward with your current MPI. Lisa Soklich, you're working with her at a Region 4, or you're working with Region, probably Lisa, right?
It's changed several times since we started, and I
Gotcha.
couldn't tell you who.
I'll
is
find
the
out.
direct contact right
I'll
now.
find out who your contact is with at DOT. We'll talk, but I don't want to, get in the way of something that might be needed by the town right here and now. We don't need anybody losing an oil pan.
Absolutely. Anyone else? We have somebody on. Oh, Jack, go ahead.
That's my person.
Yeah.
That's you? That's, oh, he has an alias now. I see how this goes.
No, Jack.
Jack's not paying attention. He's got his headphones on listening to the Grateful Dead.
I understand now. That's the mouse hand, yes, and that's. And
Jack is a great resource. He works, well, he works for the MPO and the RPO out of Bangor that can provide technical assistance. And he and I work together quite frequently. And he's actually been developing and working on a scope services for the municipality. He was gonna come with me today, but he's actually at a concert somewhere. I think he's in Vermont. So he's a great resource, and going forward, we'll be working with him as well too.
Okay, thank you. All right, and last call for anybody with any comments, council or public. Seeing none, Jared, thank you very much for this, and we'll wait for the manager to move us forward on this.
You.
Thank you. All right, moving on. You see no unfinished business. We'll move right on to the manager's report.
Oh,
Yes,
hey, that's me.
that's you.
I'm the manager. All right. Tonight I'm just gonna talk about a few things, rather briefly, including quarterly financial update. Taken a slightly upgraded approach on the financial update rather than just reviewing the budget year-to-date totals. I've attached it, but I'm highlighting some
Okay.
some high points. I think it'll be a little more efficient. So for town property maintenance, we have received quite a bit of feedback about the condition of several of our town properties. It's a pretty lengthy and involved backstory. Mostly due to staffing or lack thereof, and lack of equipment. But things are finally all coming together. We only have one opening right now with Public Works, which is kind of in limbo. Again, a little more complicated of a story. But beyond that, we've been able to fill the remaining positions for maintenance at our cemetery, as well as we've recently revived an old or a position that hasn't been used in several years, but a part-time seasonal or a temporary seasonal position through Public Works that is solely dedicated to mowing and weed whacking and property maintenance, that sort of work. The reason we were able to fund that is because of savings from hauling snow throughout the winter. So we didn't need to do that as much, and we had some other part-time lines that we can, or funding from there that we can use for this same position, that's one we've had in the past, and stay within that budget. So that'll be able to help us throughout the summer. On top of that, later in this agenda, we have some recommendations for amendments within the rec department budget. It's not asking for more money, it's asking to swap funding from line to line. Again, savings from unfortunately, yet fortunately, having vacancies within a couple of positions over there throughout the last year that are going to allow us to make some improvements now rather than later, and get the most important piece, in my opinion, is should it pass, would be the utility trailer that will be used to haul the property maintenance, lawn mowing type equipment within the rec department to the various parks and things to make it more efficient and be able to take care of those properties more often. You know, I really do appreciate the concern from the community regarding the appearance of these public spaces. We promise to continue doing the best that we can to keep up with the maintenance and continue providing improvements to those properties. You know, it's really important that we not just the administration, not just the council, that we as a community are proud of what those spaces look like. For ourselves and for our visitors, right? You know, it made me understand that people are concerned for the right reasons.
Mhm.
So that was really kind of nice to hear, you know, I especially the few of you that reached out with possible solutions rather than only complaints. Constructive conversation goes a lot further, but that was a big deal the last few weeks, and I'm really happy people kind of bared with us while we figured all that out.
Mr. Manager, before you go any further, I know the cat is out of the bag for some, but for others who don't know, there was a lot of people that were concerned about the condition of Jerry Pond and the grass as high as it was and the garbage and everything else. And unbeknownst to anybody cooking pot himself, our town manager went down with with his regular push lawnmower, and 4.5 hours later mowed Jerry Pond. And I think that picking up the garbage, mowing the grass, going the extra mile so that people could see what we have down there. I know myself, I appreciate it greatly. And I think that it's just another example of what the manager does sometimes that goes unnoticed or unappreciated or I don't know. I think it's just something that, you know, I know that I thought it was a great gesture on his part, and I appreciate it. And I know a lot of people within the community did.
Well, thanks. I was trying to avoid that.
Certainly. Councilor Higgins, before we,
I want to say thank you for stealing that. I was going to thank him personally, and I did thank him on the phone for going and taking care of it, because it was a concern. Thank you.
get that in the bank, get that in Lincoln News.
I'm just gonna touch on it too, because I
Please
was gonna
don't.
mention something. I know the manager did not want any recognition for this, and that speaks volumes. Thank you for putting action without words and, stepping up when it needed to be stepping, and that's true leadership by example. And I know a lot of that goes unnoticed, and, thank you.
Thank you. We can blame my wife for sneaking a picture and putting it on the internet. Anywho, speaking of downtown and Jerry Pond, we using some other unspent funds, creatively looking for ways to improve our beautification, which is always a concept during budget season, but never really allocation of funds during budget season. We've been able to plan for 20 large planters to be placed along the downtown corridor. We plan to fill them up with beautiful flowers to spruce things up. The planters that are coming are actually, I got the idea from walking around downtown Bangor. We're getting a smaller version of those, but they're about, you know, a little over 20 inches wide, about 18 inches tall. The bowl is hollow with a fill cap on the side, so you fill it. It has about 7 to 10 gallons, I think it holds, and then it, you know, slowly releases the water over time, so it requires less maintenance, really. So we're working on a plan to get those filled and keep it regularly filled. If I have to MacGyver something, I will. But I really want to also thank Karen O'Laughlin for volunteering to help with the upkeep of those flower pots throughout the summer. For those that may not be aware, she is the community member that took it upon herself to go spruce up all the flowers and pots and everything around the Veterans Memorial, and has received a couple of donations from me to do that since finding out that she was doing it. So, you know, she's one of those community members that shows up noticing something needs to be done, and usually asks permission, but then she jumps in and actually does something about it. And I really appreciate that of her. And she's got a really cool dog named Bear. He's absolutely massive. So thank you to her for that. We look forward to working with her on that throughout the summer. Amber's working with John Dro's Greenhouse locally about some recommendations on how to fill the plants and what plants will work the best for our area. We had been working throughout the past year on these beautiful new street pole banners, which I had showed some of you some drafts along the way. They're absolutely stunning. They'll be here. I found out this afternoon on the ETA the 21st. So these are much larger than what's currently there. They are gorgeous. They show all the different outdoor rec opportunities we have in the area. They have some imaging of, you know, the old paper making days and the log drives to, you know, nod to our history as well. We're really going to be happy to see those come up. That was, if you think back a year ago, that's when we were rapid fire trying to take care of some CDBG unspent funds. And that was one that, that we decided to use that on. So I think that this summer we'll see you know, between the improvements to the municipal building, exterior and landscaping, you know, along the downtown with some new flowers, the new banners, I think we're really going to see some morale boost and some beautification that will go a long way. So I think that'll be something we're all pretty proud of. Also, we're able to take care of replacing the dock at Jerry Pond. That is pretty well beyond repair. It's rotten, needs to be replaced. That is being purchased locally through Stearns Lumber. And we're able to grab a few new security cameras that will be at Jerry Pond to hopefully deter the marauders that show up there regularly to ruin our good things. We were also able to snag 2 for the brush pile, so that is now active and under surveillance as of yesterday. Didn't take us long to figure out how to turn the notifications off for those cameras. Ding, ding, ding. Anyways, you know, we had another issue a couple of weeks back where, you know, the transfer site crew and Brian found a massive stack of wooden fence panels in the brush pile and buckets of dog feces and boxes of old stuff from a house, you know, just in the brush pile. And you know, we've kicked around the can of, you know, do we, don't we, how do we do it? So that was the final straw. Brought Brian in, we ordered the cameras. We can absorb it into the budget as it is. And you know, there's no electricity over there, there's no internet over there, but you know, we went with a really high resolution game camera with a solar charging pack that has cellular backup, so we can log into it and review footage when we need to. So that's the same idea as what will be down at Jerry Pond as well. So we're really happy to take care of those things. Jerry Pond's also getting some new signs. We've got some new trash barrels with actual lids on them coming around to a few parks. We've got a lot going on, and I really hope that people notice it and appreciate, you know, all that we're doing to improve these public spaces. Our congressionally directed spending request has moved into the second round thanks to Senator King. It doesn't necessarily guarantee us the funding, but it puts us into the conversation with the appropriations committee as they develop the budget, for the appropriations bill for FY 25. That would be a very big deal. So, we ended up applying, like I had mentioned in an earlier meeting, for the engineering and the construction. And it's received quite a bit of support from the delegation and, we did that with the advice of the funding agency and their feedback in the process. So we do feel pretty good about it. We're very hopeful, but there's definitely more to come. And that property, I've met with a logging outfit about how it works to clear some of that space, in preparation for, constructing that facility. Given the size of the area we're looking at clearing, normally they would just come in and clear something and take the wood, and that's how it goes. They keep the wood, they do whatever with it, and that's what pays for it. Given the size of what we want to do, we'll likely see revenue from that. So, a little bit more revenue production from, that parcel of land in the, nearer future. Into financials, over and within the budget packet, I did include year-to-date expense and revenue of the entire line-by-line budget, in full transparency. We all love that word. Overall, our budget looks great. Our expenses year-to-date, we have spent 6.7 million out of an expected 8.9 in our total budget. There are some negative expended balances within there. You will see those if the colored copy is in there, you'll see them outlined in red, naturally. A majority of that is grant funding that's not entered in to offset those expenses, but will be, before the year-end closeout. Other items would be like the computer support. When we redid the contract mid-year, it affected that line. The overall spending is fine. And then the insurances, if you remember, we got nailed with like 11% increase unexpectedly. So there are several things like that we'll see throughout there, that we'll be planning to take care of, in a different way than historically. So in the past, the administration would bring, 1, 2, 3 at a time throughout the year. We're looking for a cleaner and much more recognizable approach, where we will come at the next meeting and present one order that includes all of the amendments or adjustments that are required to put us in line for audit. We won't be asking for more money. We just need to move some stuff around. It's pretty common. Overages that you'll see. Again, you'll see them, but if you look at the bottom of the department is still healthy and flush. So, in the eyes of an audit, that's the goal. One line can be a little less. In the past, the practice had been to come in and ask to feed that line to make it even. And what we're looking at is to end the year with real numbers so that we can plan better for the next year. So it's okay that some lines will end slightly negative because they probably have 3 or 4 years in a row, but we haven't increased what we need for that line. So we're going to be using this to better educate us to formulate a more realistic budget in the future, if you follow that. Keep in mind, these totals are as of, end of last week, early this week. I think they were of Monday, so, the most recent warrant that was added won't be there. We have several more weeks in the year, fiscal year, and then we'll have, there's that gray area where FY 24 invoices
Move
come
into-
in during FY 25. That's, up to our treasurer to figure out. But this is current as of this week. Revenues year to date, we are at 3.4 million out of our expected 6.6. That's all looking very healthy. You will see some higher values in there than expected. Our main revenue sharing is at about 80% of the projected amount that we included into the budget. We had originally used 75% of what we expect, of what the projection was from main revenue spending, sharing, and then offset it with higher use of the unassigned fund balance, just as a cushion. So it kind of offset, but then the extra feeds back into the fund balance. So that's tracking better than we expected it to. We have a couple of more payments expected for that. And expect that to come in higher than was projected. So we're really healthy there. There are some grants, again, that are not included in at the time of the budget adoption. So you'll see that some of the revenues are unexpected throughout the year, and that increases our total revenue at the bottom of the report. We've also had a pretty successful year when it comes to fees from the clerk's office. Code permitting came in a lot higher so far than was expected, substantially. And then, the biggest one is that, when we do the budget and adopt the budget, it doesn't include the tax commitment. So that plays with that total again. But, I'm really proud of where we are right now. And I think with the more realistic year-end report, we're going to be able to have maybe a little more educated guess on what our budget needs are going to be for FY 26. And I think that may give us the opportunity we want to scale back and be, pretty wise about this spending. Yes, you want me to say conservative. And then finally in that, outside of additional questions, ESSER reimbursements was a hot topic for a long time. Up until this week, we are at a total reimbursement of $874,730.69. That is awesome. I know that superintendent and more specifically, the business manager worked their tails off to try to bring that grant into shape. And they really did a great job getting those reimbursements on track, and they have been coming in regularly. So I'll take any other questions. I know I talked longer than I said I would.
Any questions for the manager? Councilor Higgins?
I just want to say thank you for your article in the paper and your report being there. Thank you.
Good. I found out it was in there from Bruce when he showed up, from Scott when he showed up.
Councilor Demay?
Thank you. I also want to thank you as well. That was a very nice article, and I think the public will enjoy that. I look forward to seeing more of them. Thank you for the report on the budget. It does look good. There was, I'll yield to the next person. I had a thought generating and then it left.
Any other counselors? Back. How's that start doing now? Okay. Well, we'll go down. Any public comment? You're getting there.
Sandy Sullivan, 104 Sunset Drive. I know that good roads are important. I know that public works is important. I know our airport is important, but the looks of our town is also important. I am thrilled to see everything that's being done by the manager and the council to make our town attractive to people, that they want to stop and spend time here. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public? Counselor Dume.
Thank you. One was I wanted to, while I was reading the paper, and I also knew this, there was an article about Stearns High School baseball team. So for the next meeting and before people start heading off to camp and everything else, I would like a resolve drafted for the next meeting, please, and honoring and congratulating Stearns High School baseball team. Thank you.
Hopefully for not only the Northern Maine Championship, but for the state championship.
Right, and that is already
Yeah.
in the works, so
Thank you.
we're planning on it.
Ms. Sullivan, I agree with you, and I think part of what the beautification of the town, the better town looks, the more attractive it is to people coming through, the more opportunity people are going to stop, take advantage, and maybe settle. So I agree with you wholeheartedly, and I think the town is moving in the right direction. I agree. Anybody else from the public? Back to the council. Seeing none. All right, let's move on. You can't fool me once, shame on you. All right, Council Pelletier, can I please get you to read order 42-2024?
Certainly. Order number 142-2024, providing for execution of town warrant for June 13, 2024. It is ordered that the town warrant for June 13, 2024 in the amount of $308,166.37 is hereby approved.
Second.
Motion made by Council, second by Councilor Danforth. Big hitters, Council Pelletier?
Certainly, $15,267.32 for jet fuel at the airport. $12,074.77 for the credit card. $9,851.34. Cemetery. Imagine more grubs up there. $8,983.88 for Honeywell International, contract for the municipal building. $8,017.49 for Oil Can and Associate for runway design at the airport. $3,212 for main technology. Didn't have a nation on that.
Computer support.
Pardon?
Computer support.
You got backup.
$41,320.20 for main water, the fire hydrants. $31,450 Milwaukee Memorial Library, our quarterly payment. $18,300.30 municipal waste solution. Other one I missed. $6,330.10 for the main snowmobile grant. $3,084.50 for oil, $15,127.50 for legal fees, Russ Johnson, Bopane. $34,420.01. TV Maher Engineers Inc. Brownfield Assessment Project. $6,004. Twin Pines Snowmobile Club, either trail. That's it.
That's it.
All $1,000 posted.
Thank you. Any council discussion on the order? Down to the public. Back to the council. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Counselor Danforth, can I please get you to read order number 143-2024?
Yes, order number 143-2024, providing for execution of the wastewater warrant for June 13th, 2024. It is ordered that the wastewater warrant for June 13th, 2024 in the amount of $10,642.52 is hereby approved.
Second.
Motion made by Counselor Danforth, second by Counselor Pelletier. Counselor, oh, I'm sorry, heavy hitters?
Oh, there's a couple. I
Okay.
guess, 2,800, Bernstein, Sure, Sawyer, and Nelson, those are legal services. Regarding upgrades to the main pump station. $1,190.50, IDEX distribution, that's lab supplies. $3,541.29, just town of Millinocket reimbursement.
Thank you. Any council comment on the order?
Yeah, we don't have the right.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right,
it was just stated wrong. And, yeah.
okay. No council comment? Down to the public. Back to the council. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you. Councilor Mackin, can I please have you read order 144-2024?
Order 144-2024, providing for approval of an application for particular license for Gather Inn. It is ordered that the attached application for particular license is hereby approved for Mark Doval, address South Portland, Maine, doing business as Gather Inn, 193 Central Street in Millinocket.
Motion made by Councilor Mackin, second by Councilor Higgins. Any council discussion on the order? Down the public. Back to council. All in favor? It's unanimous. Councilor McGowan, can I please get you to read order 145-2024?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Order number 145-2024, providing for approval of an application for a victular license for Subway. It is ordered that the attached application for a victular license is hereby approved for Bruce D. McLean, address East Millinocket, Maine, doing business as Subway, 805 Central Street, Millinocket.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor McGowan, second by Councilor Danforth. Any council discussion on the order? Down to the public. Yes, Madam Clerk.
If I may just give an update, the list of victualers will be complete, just pending one. So this last one is that's holding us up.
Okay.
So complete
Thank you.
victualers list. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, seeing none. All those in favor of order 145-2024? Okay, I'm just looking for you. Opposed? Abstained. 601. Councilor Danforth, can I please get you to read order 146-2024?
Yes, order number 146-2024, providing for acceptance of the Energy Efficiency Priorities Grant. Whereas the town of Millinocket received an award of $100,000 for the purchase of energy efficient windows for the municipal building located at 197 Penobscot Avenue. It is ordered that the Millinocket Town Council approves the acceptance of $100,000 from the Community Resilience Partnership Energy Efficiency Priorities Grant for new windows. Note, there is no local match requirement for this grant award.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Danforth, second by Councilor McGowan. Any council discussion on the order? I, for one, love the fact that there's no match.
Yeah.
Any public comment? Back to the council. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Councilor Higgins, would you please read order 147-2024?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Order number 147-2024, providing for a public hearing to discuss the town's application to Community Development Block Grant CDBG. Whereas the town of Millinocket would like to submit a CDBG Community Enterprise Grant to start a facade program in Millinocket and are seeking input on the program from community members. It is ordered that the Millinocket Town Council approves a public hearing to discuss the town's application to the CDBG Community Enterprise Grant Program, which is a required component to this application process.
Motion made by Counselor Higgins, second by Counselor Dume. Counselor, discussion on the order. Seeing none, down to the public. All right then, all those in favor of order 147-2024? It's unanimous. Did I drop my pen? This will be moving this, Madam Clerk, if I may ask, this will be moving this to a public hearing at possibly our next meeting? Or is it now? We're in now? We're in a public hearing. Right now.
Space.
Mr. Manager, you're on the clock.
All right. This is our second of two public hearings on this grant program. We are accepted to the program. This night, provided all goes well, will be the final stage. If the order later this evening for matching funds is approved, we'll be able to get the applications that are already finalized released so that we can start attracting applicants. So please bear with me as a recent chains of events throughout the day has taken our community initiatives director out of commission for the evening, and I will be stepping in to overview this program. So yes, CDBG stands for Community Development Block Grant. This is their community enterprise program. And we have been approved for $100,000 on top of our local match. That was $34,000. So a total pot of $130 some odd thousand that we will be able to break into smaller grants to fund facade improvements for commercial properties within our town. And that is basically what is on this second slide. So this gives a little history of the CDBG program from the state. The funding originates from the Department of Housing and Urban Development, affectionately referred to as HUD. And it's a vessel for the state of Maine to move federal funds into local communities so that they can either improve their own properties and development or that of communities and community members or taxpayers. So we, Millinocket, have a history with that program. The first I'm aware of was when the town was awarded a revolving loan fund from the CDBG that quickly turned into a care grant program. There is one existing loan from that. It is held by the Historical Society, and they've been paying on it for since the beginning. So, you know, at some point in the future, we'll be able to take from that pot of funds and start reusing that again. Right now, I think the balance is up to about 70,000. So this identifies the exact number of our match. It's $33,334. So the total we would be able to infuse into commercial properties to help owners with facade improvements is $133,334. And again, we will have a match We will have an order presented later this evening to commit that match. Should it pass, we will continue into the program. What do we intend to do with these funds? The town of Millinocket wishes to initiate the facade program. Commercial property owners in Millinocket will have an opportunity to apply for a grant through the town of $5,000 to $20,000 to update the appearance of their commercial property, whether that be new windows, signage, new paint, siding. It's exterior improvements to the property. This slide talks about the process. So we will be releasing, should the matching funds be committed, a request for applications. Any business that is interested in participating in the program will be required to submit an application from that will be released through our website. The businesses are required to submit any invoices or estimates with their grant application to be reviewed internally by a group of by a board of staff that will be reviewing the applications, checking to meet criteria, and ultimately making the selections on those applications. The town will notify the business owners and the public of who the recipients would be. These funds will not be given directly to the property owners. However, their contractors will be required to submit their invoice for the work to the town, and we will be paying the contractors directly. Those contractors will need to submit a W-9 and a certificate of insurance or the equivalent waiver of liability that's available through the state of Maine in order for that payment to be processed. So there will be some follow-up on the project. We need to make sure it fits our public health and safety standards. We need to make sure it fits our code standards. And payment will be submitted at that time. So the main goal of these public hearings on the application are to gauge feedback from the community. Our first public hearing garnered quite a bit of positive feedback from both the community and the counselors that were present that evening. I certainly hope that those members of the public who are in attendance tonight will share some thoughts on the program so that we can document that and send it over to the state with our paperwork. I am not the direct contact for this program. However, our colleague Amber Wheaton, our Community Initiatives Director, her contact information is on the screen. She can be reached. That's her office phone number here, 447-4100, and at cid@millinocket.org. If you have any other further or more specific questions on the program, I encourage you to reach out to Amber directly. She's become very informed about this program throughout the process and can be very helpful, asking questions throughout the application and how it all works. So thank you for bearing with me as I stepped in to cover that. And if you have any questions, I will do my very best.
I'm looking now to see if there's any, going down to the public, any public comment on this certainly. Name and address, please.
Well, Levitt, 30 Palm Street. I was just wondering, as the bids come in, there's only one contract, and is someone gonna look over the initial price of that? Like I said, somebody could bid 6,000, that'd be the only contract bid, but job might require only 3,000. You know, it's just, I'm just looking at cost, and if anybody's completely gonna look, is committee that's gonna look and say, hey, 'cause like I said, we know as personal independence, when we get somebody high, we look, and somebody wants 20,000, you get somebody at 10,000, that's more low. It's just what I was just wondering.
You're very welcome.
Do you, Mr. Levitt, do you think it's a good idea to run the program in our town?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
You know, I just have a question that, you know, the contracts are involved where you're showing that. If what was gonna happen, if anybody's, who's gonna decide that's the right contract.
Right, and I totally get that. I just wanted to make sure I committed some really good positive feedback from you as a community member. To answer that question though, part of the review process will be a team of us within the staff that'll review it from various points of view. We'll have, I'll be on there, a community initiatives director will be on there for you know, presence within the community for that property. Our code enforcement officer will be part of that review process. He doesn't know it yet, but our public works director will be part of that process. You know, so we have some different mindsets and skill sets at the table to understand, you know, especially with Brian, like what that type of work really involves. And, you know, so the onus of the contractor would be up to the property owner. So if they, you know, I would urge them to receive multiple quotes before picking their contractor they want to include on their application to submit to our team for review. But, you know, if we go through and our, you know, local subject matter expert says they're getting ripped off, you know, we would certainly do a little more digging into that. Sure.
Sandy Sullivan, 104 Sunset Drive. Has the matching funds been appropriated already? Or where would that come from?
So no, they have not. There is an order later on the agenda. It would allocate the 33,000 some odd dollars from our unassigned fund balance to provide the matching funds for that program.
And I think it's a great program.
Awesome. Thank you for that.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public? From the council, I'm going to go Councilor Dumeay first and then Councilor Higgins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think it's an excellent question, Mr. Levitt, because I actually just asked Councilor Higgins here the very same question. I wanted to know if there was an RFP process that was required in the application, but you just answered that question. I think it would behoove anybody to get multiple quotes.
Yep.
And you do have a qualified professional that's gonna be going over that, just to examine those, and like you said, make sure that it's not an inflated cost because it's coming out of a town coffers grant. I don't want anybody I don't want any contractors, although I hope they shop locally. That would be great. I don't want anybody taking advantage of that and inflating it just because you want to help as many businesses as you can.
Right.
So I think it's a great question. I had the same question.
Well, and beyond that, we have learned from the CDBG administration that availability of contractors that can meet the criteria has been a barrier for other communities in the past. So, you know, it is federal funding that's passed through the state. So contractors are required to, you know, have the proper liability insurance or submit through the state for the waiver. It's a pretty easy process to do the waiver, but it does require that contractors pay Davis Bacon wages, which are a little higher and more complicated to report. So, you know, and that's all of those more detailed pieces are outlined in the application itself. I do have it in draft form in my email, and I'm happy to share it ahead of time with any of you that want to see it. So,
Counselor Higgins.
Thank you. I've got a couple things because
Okay.
I know this is a second hearing and I tried attending the first one via Zoom, but there were some issues. So speaking with the manager earlier about this, because I had some questions and some concerns. And I wanted to bring up here because I know there were some people from the town that did as well, and they'd mentioned it. Some were which businesses were going to be picked as far as how that was going to break out, because some of the concern that the town had, or some of the citizens had, would there be some favoritism towards one or another? And then second part of that is we have some commercial properties on Penobscot Ave that have smaller businesses in them. So would the smaller businesses actually do the submitting, or would it be the commercial owner? I mean, these are some of the concerns that they were having.
yeah, and
That's first.
thank you for that
I'll answer
dress
that.
rehearsal this afternoon, but so no favoritism, right? It's you know, I think of this process similar to how I see the planning board operating. You know, they're submitted with an application for a site plan review, regardless of their own beliefs or interactions with a certain individual. It's a small town. It has to be a review of the information, and does it meet the criteria, and does it check the box, and how will it impact, you know, like we've discussed quite a bit this evening, the aesthetics of the town, or, you know, what will this particular application's impact do for that property owner? You know, is it more, you know, I'm just spitballing here and don't get me in trouble for this, but is it more important to have a fresh coat of paint or to replace 75-year-old windows? You know, is the fresh coat of paint going to provide more benefit to that commercial property that more so than the other property that may have a fresh coat of paint, but has that doesn't have energy efficient windows and is paying through the roof for heating? You know, like some of these types of concepts will be involved in the conversation, I think.
Right.
The other, so yes, I think you mentioned location. The application does specify that there's a focus on Central Street and Penobscot Avenue. That doesn't mean that other locations are not considered. They're certainly welcome to apply. You know, like I said, there are other deciding factors in the process aside from the location of the business. That the location piece of that is suggested by the funding program. However, the awards are decided locally. If you can. And then the last question was, yes, it would have to be the property owner. If a business is renting space from a property owner, they will have to discuss that with their landlord, and the landlord will have to work with us on that application.
Anything else, Council Higgins? Okay, Council Demay.
Thank you. In a scenario where, let's say a business owner is just looking for help on a situation, let's say he knows or she knows that there is a $50,000 project that they need to do to improve their facade, and they just want a $5,000 or $10,000. Does the program have to be all encompassing of a finished product, or can it be to assist in a said project, if you know where I'm going with that?
So, well, I mean, I appreciate that in the sense where, you know, they have some skin in the game, right? If they had a larger project that they wanted the funding to assist with, they would have to keep in mind that our funding that could be contributed to that would have to meet the overall project would have to meet the criteria of the funding that we're giving. So it would have to be done with a licensed contractor, with
Yeah,
the Davis
absolutely.
Bacon rages and that sort of thing, so that when we disperse the funds and then do the reporting afterwards, that would check the boxes for us. But if we couldn't put $5,000 towards a project that's, you know, being done by the guy's brother because he's a good contractor kind of.
No,
you know,
I
carpenter
understand.
kind of-
All things being equal,
Right. Absolutely. I'd encourage them to do that.
Anyone else? Council Higgins.
Let Jane go first.
Oh, certainly. Council Danforth.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to mention, I was able to attend the first hearing, and there was a good showing, so we get some good community support for it. And also, I know the rest of the councils, you got the same email from Renee St. Jean. And so I'm hoping that you can, I don't know if you were on it, Peter, though, but it could be included in the public comment or should I read it? Does it need to be read, to be included?
I viewed that as a premature letter of application for
Oh,
letter of support for an application. Is that, I didn't
Oh.
actually study it, but was that for?
I
an
thought that
application?
if she was going to be here today, this might have been what she would have said. So you
It's-
can decide.
To
but it
me,
needs to be included.
I don't, maybe you read it differently, but I thought it was for a specific project that was going to be applied for.
All right, so since we both are confused, I'll. Oh, okay, all right. Okay.
Council Higgins.
I just want to say, I'm in support of this program. I'll say it that way. And the reason I say that is I think it's a good opportunity for some of the businesses that we have here in the town. And originally, I was going to say, I was a little bit on the fence about the buy-in, our portion of it, because I wanted or felt originally that members of the community should have some skin in the game. And then it was brought to my attention by a former business of the town that some of the businesses here can't afford to do some of that stuff. But the way inflation has gone and businesses and costs, and when the mill shut down, a lot of the business went down with that. So if it wasn't for programs like this, those businesses would not be able to afford to do a project like this. And I gotta say, and I normally wouldn't say it, I gotta give credit to my wife on this. She brought me around and brought me to my senses. So I want to say thank you. because she was right. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yeah, right there. Make sure you get that down. Anyone else?
Melanie, you marked that on the calendar, right?
Either public or council? Anyone else? No, I don't either. So we will be closing the public hearing. Thank you all. And that ends our public hearing. All right, Councilor Mackin, can I please get you to read order 148-2024?
Order number 149, 2024.
148.
What? Is that what you asked for?
No, 148. This will be the acceptance of the grant. 148.
Oh, I thought we already did this.
No.
Okay. Order number 148, 2024, providing for acceptance of the Community Development Block Grant, Community Enterprise Program. Whereas the town of Millinocket received a grant award of $100,000 to start a FACA program for commercial property owners in Millinocket. The town of Millinocket is required to provide matching funds in the amount of $33,334. It is ordered that the Millinocket Town Council approves the acceptance of $100,000 from the CDBG Community Enterprise Program and the match of $33,334 out of the unassigned fund balance.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Mackin, second by Councilor Hagan. Council discussion on the order. Councilor Danforth.
I just have a question. Weren't there some funds left in the economic development line? Potentially that could go towards this? Does it need to all come out of the unassigned fund balance?
Not anymore.
Not anymore. They're gone.
They're gone.
Anybody else? Anybody else? Seeing none, down the public. Seeing none, back to the council. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Councilor Demay, can I please get you to read 149-2020?
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Order number 149-2024, providing for adjustments within the FY 24 Recreation Department budget. Whereas unspent FY 24 funds due to personnel vacancies have allowed an opportunity to purchase needed supplies and equipment for operation of the Recreation Department in its current fiscal budget, as opposed to raising additional tax dollars in the future budget. It is ordered that Millinocket Town Council, at the recommendation of its rec director and the town manager, approve this reallocation of funds, transferring $5,500 from budget line 1002-0420 part-time and $7,000 from budget line 1002-0384 maintenance supervisor to budget line 1002-3105 equipment, increasing line 1002-3105 by a total of $12,500. Note, list of new equipment and budget for purchases attached as backup.
Motion made by Councilor Demay, second by Councilor Higgins. Any council comment on the order? Seeing none, down the public. Back to the council. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you. Councilor McGowan, can I please have you read order 150-2024?
Certainly. Order number 150-2024, providing for approval of reimbursable agreement with Federal Aviation Administration. Whereas the Millinocket Municipal Airport must seek approval of the attached non-federal limited design and implementation reimbursable agreement with the FAA to proceed with the replacement of the airport's runway approach lighting. And whereas this agreement includes a reimbursable payment to be made by the town of Millinocket of $40,000 in order to proceed, it is ordered that the Millinocket Town Council, at the recommendation of the airport manager and the town manager, approves the attached reimbursable agreement and authorizes all necessary forms to be executed. It is further ordered that the Millinocket Town Council authorizes the town treasurer to allocate funding appropriately, providing cash flow for the related $40,000 reimbursable payment. Note, list of new equipment and budget for purchases. Oh, no, scratch that. I don't think that was supposed to be on there, was it? Oh, was it?
No,
Okay, I didn't think so.
that was the same versus same as.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I started reading.
Do I have a second?
What's how? I don't even know what happened.
That last
Second.
sentence was not supposed to be there.
Yeah.
Oh, it was part of an old order.
That was the
Second,
wrong word. Thank you.
second.
Motion made by Council McGowan, second by Council Danforth. Any council discussion on this order? That's the last line. Council DeMay.
Very briefly, I had a couple questions on this order, that the manager was able to clarify for me, so thank you very much.
Would you like to share those questions for the other councilors? Okay.
It was, yes, it was mostly on the reimbursable parts and what parties were involved and the timeline of such events.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Anyone else? Down to the public? Back to the council. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Councilor Danforth, can I please get you to read order 151-2024?
Yes, order number 151-2024, providing for approval of contract amendment with Hoyle Tanner and Associates, Inc. Whereas the Millinocket Municipal Airport must seek approval of the amendments pertaining to a necessary and additional environmental assessment to the attached airport project contract between the town of Millinocket and Hoyle Tanner and Associates, Inc., including an increase of $129,405, all but 5%, which is $27,400, reimbursable to the maximum amount of the agreement, and an extension from September 30th, 2024 to September 30th, 2025 to the expiration date of the agreement. It is ordered that the Millinocket Town Council, at the recommendation of the airport manager and the town manager, approves the attached contract as amended and authorizes all necessary forms to be executed.
Motion made by Councilor Danforth, second by Councilor DeMay. Any council discussion on the order, Councilor DeMay?
Once again, I had questions on this order that the manager was able to answer sufficiently. And also, I think he emailed the rest of us as well,
Yes.
explaining that there may be opportunities to even fill in that gap of the 27,400 as well. So hopefully those come to fruition. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councilor Higgins.
Yes, I too also talked to the town manager today, and expressed a few things. One question I did not ask, so if we were not extending the runway, this would not come into play, correct? If we kept the footprint that we have now,
Please come up and.
This is required for the extension. We kept the runway at the same size it is now, we would not have to do this.
thank you for that information. This is not the first time I've had questions about it, and I wanted, and I've spoken up quite a bit. I want it known that I am very much in support of our airport. I do believe that our town needs this airport. And for the business that might be coming down the pipe with what's going on at the old mill site, off the site, where we got some business coming in, we need our airport. There's no doubt about that. The manager and I bounced a few things around and about the commuter flights and everything. I understand that. Like I said, I think we need our airport, and I would support 100% if we kept our own footprint. And I absolutely agree. With what you had told us before about with the FAA and wanting to shorten and take away from our airport, I don't agree with that 100%. There's no way. We should not let that happen. So I just want to say I would be in support of keeping our runway. And I've also had people talk to me about that. There was talk about, oh, people just think that it's a rich man's group. To me, it's not that way. I mean, that airport provides a lot of support for this community. Lifeline, for one. I know of veterans that have flown out of this airport to go get the medical help they needed outside. Businesses flying in and out of here use that airport. With the businesses that are coming into our community, we need that. Where people have come to me as well, they're saying, why do we need to extend that runway when if you looked at the Eclipse, you saw those multi-passenger jets, Lear jets coming in. They did it with the footprint that's there. Their question is, why are we spending money to extend that when we can maintain? And I'm going to bat for the airport. I want you to know that. But the big consensus is, why are we extending it?
Mr.
Want me to answer?
If you would, please.
Okay. If we had 9 jets here during the eclipse at 4,700 feet, if we'd had 5,001 feet, we could have had a dozen, 15 jets. It's an insurance-driven deal that we have going on here. The jets that come now at 4,700 feet, basically at their own risk. Their insurance companies are very hesitant to let them come here at less than 5,000 feet. And when we did the feasibility study to determine what length we wanted to have or needed to have, there's very little difference in the overall cost to build it at 4,700 feet as opposed to 5,001, 300 feet more. And it makes all the difference in the world to making us more attractive, more of these airplanes coming. So the businesses that are talking about locating here and the traffic that we are currently getting and are in hopes to increase, the size of our runway is a big determining factor in that. So if it's going to cost us $13 million to build it at 4,700 feet, but for 400,000 more, you could have 5,001. It's huge, the airport environment for that one. So that's really the nuts and bolts. It's insurance driven. It has to do with the size of the aircraft that we are, yes, already getting, but they're doing it at a big risk. So if we were 5,000 feet, I know we're going to see a dramatic increase in aircraft for that reason.
Thank you for the answer on that. And like I said, it's not just coming from me. I'm speaking,
No, I understand.
I'm speaking for the public as well.
Yep.
Um,
And on the other side of that, I get a lot of high fives and attaboys for, finally getting to what we've talked about for 20 years over there. Making it bigger, making it better, making it stronger.
And the question from the public is, who's gonna benefit from that? Not everyone from the town can actually use that airport, or they would have the opportunity to, like on the commuter flights, don't get me wrong. But
It's the
people that I'm talking to they're saying they might not be able to afford that. You know what I'm saying?
right.
But and we've got to actually, how much is the town gonna kick in? Whereas something like the downtown, that's something that the whole community can use. Not just a select few. And
But
that's how they're feeling about it.
Yep, I understand
just-
that. But on the other side of the coin, dealing in the business that I deal in, it's an economic driver for the town that has immeasurable benefit, honestly, and we're the gateway to the outside world. Any community that survives a situation like we've been in, it's their airport. They have an airport.
And I want to say thank you for the information that you gave us before, and I had some conversation with the manager about the budget. Because I mean, that was a big thing here for us just a little while ago. where, and it was brought up, and I did bring it up, that the airport runs in a deficit. And other people have asked the same thing, and I understand that's how the airport works, and you're working, there's a plan to gain some of that back.
Right, the whole
But-
thing with extending the taxiway and more hangars, that's tax revenue for the town, that's more fuel, that's more airplanes, it brings that gap closer together. But you have to kind of separate what it costs to have the facility, what it costs the business. I know we're a little off topic, but the business side of it, when I buy fuel and sell fuel, I make money.
Yes, and
But
that's.
it does not cover the cost of the operation.
Because right now it runs at a deficit.
That's right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Dumeay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate your point, Council Higgins, and I really wish that, not that I don't trust you, because I certainly trust your word and your judgment. I wish some of those individuals would reach out to maybe some of the rest of us so we could hear their points of view as well. Because I've honestly never have heard anyone on opposition. That doesn't mean it doesn't happen, because we all travel in different circles, and I appreciate him representing people that reach out to you, because I often do that too, against my own better judgment. But in saying that, I do know that there's opportunities for this to be vast majority paid for. If I'm understanding everything correctly. And I hope, it is my hope that people that fly in here that can afford those jets and those planes and those opportunities to fly in here, that they're not just vacationing out there in the counties, and that they're actually coming here to enjoy Millinocket, to spend money here in Millinocket, and be future prospects employers here in Millinocket, and spend big money in putting up buildings and creating job opportunities. Hopefully those things is what we're going after as well.
Oh, yeah,
So,
absolutely.
thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Manager, would you like to chime in?
Yes, although I was really hoping to hear a call for the vote. Because yes, we are extremely off topic at this
Yes, we
point.
are.
But,
Chairman, I call for the vote.
oh, stop it, rescind.
I rescind that.
Okay, thank you. You,
Uh,
you mentioned the funding and what would be local and what would be not. We already have this agreement in place to do this project. The absolute worst case scenario years down the road is that we would possibly bond a portion of that work. Until then, our number one priority is getting the remaining balance, our local match, funded through grants or philanthropy.
Right.
Of which, we have a damn good track record over the last couple of years, building that grant funding program. So the out-of-pocket cost for the town is, in my educated opinion on the topic, very unlikely to be the scenario, but we had to commit to something way further in advance than we would have been able to have an opportunity to apply, be awarded, get the funding, because that's such a long process. We now have time and the opportunity to use our in-house experts to work through, several attempts if we need to take on that bill with free money rather than include anything with a tax raise, whether it be a 10-year or more bond process that limits it to small increments year over year.
Right.
That would, the cost on the local taxpayer would be the absolute last final option, which we don't intend to do. if that's at all helpful. But now, Jesse, if you'd like to do your thing.
Now,
Oh, can I one more thing, real quick?
I would prefer not.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to call. for-
The vote has been called. All those in favor of order 151-2024? In favor? Opposed? Abstain? 601. Thank you. Council Pelletier, can I please get you to read order 152-2024?
Providing for ratification of the June 11th, 2024 school budget referendum result. It is ordered that the results of the June 11th, 2024 school budget referendum are hereby ratified as follows. Question 1, yes, 233 votes, no, 125 votes, blank, 6 votes. ROT, 364 votes. Clerk, no, certified by the town clerk for return of votes cast at that.
Second.
Motion made by Council Pelletier, second by Council McGlaughlin. Any council discussion on the order? I would like to say just one thing here, and I know that it's everybody's right to vote on that school budget, but it costs, it's a very cost prohibitive vote. And it goes for 3 years and then it has to be brought up again and voted, do you want to continue this? It's in 3 years' time, it's costing the town about $30,000 to do this vote for 364 people, and that's on the high side. Yeah, I mean, this is getting to the point where I realize everybody wants to preserve their right to vote and their right to vote on something, but the numbers are getting lower and lower year after year that's coming out for this school budget referendum. And I would encourage the town people, the next time this comes around, not to go and want to extend this another 3 years. And that's my opinion on it, and I share it, and that's as far as it goes. Anybody else from the council, from the public? Yes.
Sandy Sullivan, 104 Sunset Drive. I absolutely agree with you. I stated that last year. The citizens of Millnock should be ashamed of themselves that less than 400 people voted. Actually, you are incorrect, Mr. Chairman. They do get a vote. They vote for the council, and they should trust the council to vote yes or no for the school budget. It shouldn't take another vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. Anyone else? Back to the council. All those in favor of order 152-2024? It's unanimous. Council, would you please read order 153-2024?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Order number 153-2024, providing for acceptance of the main EMS stabilization funding grant. It is ordered that the Millinocket Town Council accepts this grant totaling $33,602.44 from the main EMS stabilization funding grant with no local match requirement. Note, these funds will provide the following towards our fire department: Lucas CPR chest compression device, EMS training, mobile radio upgrade for department ambulances.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Demay, second by Councilor Higgins. Any council discussion on the order?
It's a
The public.
no-brainer, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, sir?
It's a no-brainer.
It's a no-brainer. Okay, I'll take that into consideration. Down to the public. Back to the council. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Reports and communications, warrant committee for the June 27th town council meeting will be Councilor Demay and myself. I will be taking Councilor Wab because of his being out of town. Chair committee reports. Anybody got any chair committee reports? I would be shocked if you didn't, Councilor Danforth.
Excuse me, I will make it very quick. We did have a age-friendly committee meeting, and we do have a logo that will be on all the marketing materials that are going to be put out there, because it will start, the first farmers market will be July July 6th, and July is coming right up. But,
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
it
watch
is.
for, watch for that and all the information about it. I'm not going to steal the fire chief's thunder. We do have, is going to be rolling out the Fall of Life program, but I'm going to let him talk about it at a future meeting. So.
Thank you. Anybody else? We go around to the 2-minute public comment. Anybody from the public would like to address the council? Yes.
Well, 330 Congress Street. Just gotta get in the two comments because I didn't understand. When we did order 151, that just for the council, because it didn't come down to the public. Because I was gonna comment, but you guys went straight to a vote. I was just
151?
trying to understand when
There was a call.
that was supposed to go down to the public for an opinion.
If I didn't, then I apologize because
Yeah, because Jeff was up here and you guys are going back and forth, but never came down to the public.
well, no, I came down to the public before Jeff came up.
No,
Yes, I did.
well, if you did.
And then it came back, to Councilor Higgins, questions that he had, but yes, I did.
Missed Councilor Jesse.
Councilor Demay?
Then it went to Mr. Higgins, then you called up Jeff, they discussed it. Went, you know,
There was a call.
Yeah,
for a vote.
you check the film,
Okay,
but I was just wondering.
okay, you're right. And I apologize.
No, that's all right. I was just, I just
Yes, sir.
wanted to, say that, I just wanted to know the part of that this was,
The reason that was happened, and Councilor Demay just reminded me, was Councilor Demay called for the vote. When
Yeah.
that call for the vote comes, all
Okay.
comment stops, whether it be council or public.
okay, I was just wondering,
Yep.
because I wanted to call.
That's why, yeah,
Is-
that's why that happened.
Is 151, is that just for the, small section what the government's gonna give us? Extend the, airport, then we're gonna extend it, isn't that gonna come up to, try to get grants? And if we can't get grants, it's gonna go to a bond for the town anyway. So if it goes to the bond, like I said, I've had negative people to talk to me too. I mean, it's gonna fully come to the, town, what's really gonna happen to that airport? Thank you.
Thank you.
Order 151 was just to approve an amendment to the contract that already exists.
Existed, yeah.
Because we're now required to do an environmental assessment. It was solely to do,
We can throw those away
To-
for me.
it was solely to amend the contract to include the environmental assessment and the cost of it. And that local match that was identified, that 5%. I'm working with the EPA right now on funding that portion for us. I have not received confirmation today, but it's very likely going to be funded that 5%, so that the town wouldn't have to bear that burden. But we're really just talking about that environmental assessment piece of it and that $24,000 or so that is likely to be paid for by the EPA.
It's a complicated thing, so.
Sure, we got really
Yeah,
zoomed
we got
out in
spread out,
that
yeah.
conversation. Yeah.
I know.
I appreciate you.
You're very welcome. Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, looking for a motion to adjourn.
So.
Motion made by Council McGowan, second by Council Demay. Any council discussion? Public? All those in favor? It's unanimous.